I've been chatting to Mel this morning. Mel's a Healthy River ambassador, and Mel's got some great information and background around water at the moment. Water's a very hot topic at the moment. So where do you see water at the moment? What's the overall holistic picture that you've got of water as it stands at the moment?
Well, at the moment, Matt, we've seen the South Australian Royal Commission come down with some pretty damning things to say about water management in the states. So we've been...
And that Royal Commission was around the whole Murray-Darling Basin plan. It wasn't just about South Australia.
It wasn't just about South Australia. It got submissions and testimony from people from all over the basin, including Queensland and New South Wales. And what it found is that the plan's been taken off rail. We've came up with a compromise position of 3,200 gigalitres, and that's eroded down to a figure starting with 2. Now, the South Australian Royal Commission has said this was a political decision and not based on science, and certainly there's been so many people in the basin for years saying that the modelling's not right, the science is being ignored, these decisions are being political. We've been saying that for many years, and now the South Australian Royal Commission has found that that's the case.
And one of the really worrying things for me was that at the forum on Friday night, I learned that the whole plan was put together ignoring the fact that climate change is real.
Absolutely.
And so you're probably seeing some impacts of that now where a plan is not working, and a whole range of other reasons as we've discussed this morning. But part of that reason the plan isn't working is because it didn't take into effect the impacts of climate change.
And now we've got a situation where a former water minister has brought in a rule where Water New South Wales aren't allowed to use inflow data from after 2004. Well, that means they can only predict inflows on years of good rainfall. So they're ignoring the years of the millennial drought and the severe drought that we're in now. And they're not being adaptive. And I think it's really irresponsible water management when our towns face, a lot of little towns around our area are starting to run out of water. And responsible management of dams is a serious issue.
Yeah. So there are problems. I think most people you speak with will identify there are problems. What we really want, and what I'm always keen on, a solution. So do we see some relatively simple solutions from where we are now? It is a complicated environment, I understand, but do we see some relatively simple steps that we could take to start to move forward?
Absolutely. Let's go back to the plan. Let's go back to the essence of the plan, and let's behave legally and follow the Water Act. And so let's recover 3,200 gigalitres for the environment. Let's do that with voluntary buybacks. That was working really well. That's the best use of taxpayer money. With the $7 or $6 billion that we've got left in the plan, let's get some transitional programs going in communities that heavily rely on irrigation so that they can transition from a future of relying so heavily on irrigation. The environment needs more water. The environment needs to be resilient in drought. It's not at the moment. It's susceptible to drought, and we've had a major ecological collapse in the Lower Darling. And that's the reality we'll face unless we get more physical water in the rivers. I think the plan from the current government to be more efficient in the environment is a perversion of the plan. I think the projects that they're talking about modify the river to something less than what it is. I think that is absolutely not putting the environment first. I think that the legal protection of environmental water is absolutely something that should be addressed and could be addressed today. I think it's out of the question. It's just unacceptable that water that the public purchases with Commonwealth money can be legally extracted when it gets to unregulated sections of the river under licensed conditions. And I think that's a shock to many people. We buy this. This is not the way our society runs. The community and the taxpayer buy public water for the rivers so it can stay in the rivers, and the rivers can be natural rivers. And that water should stay in the rivers and the wetlands as a public asset to help us all the small towns that rely on healthy rivers for their humble little tourism businesses and all these little economies that we have, sustainable, generational little economies that really support a town. The big boom and bust that we see so often I think that's a much more sustainable future for our basin, and we can have sustainable irrigation in the basin. I'm not against irrigation. I come from an irrigated farm on the Clarence, a small, humble family business, a successful, adaptive business. You know, we lived within our means, and we lived very well within our means, humbly, not so well as some big multinational corporations do, you know, and with our environmental water.
So step one, get back to the original plan.
Yeah, get back to the original plan.
Step two, after we've seen the Royal Commission from South Australia, then probably a federal Royal Commission wouldn't be a bad idea.
It'd be a great idea if we could get one up, absolutely. We need a federal EPA as well. We need a watchdog separate from the MDBA, the authority, which has been found to haven't been standing up for the environment. It's been found in the Royal Commission that the MDBA has let the rivers down. We need an independent body, a federal Environmental Protection Authority, to monitor and comply, make sure that there's compliance from the Murray-Darling Basin Authority, and make sure that the plan is legal and the plan puts the environment first, because at the moment it certainly doesn't. We need to legally protect environmental water from all extraction. It has got to stay in the river. We buy it to stay in the river. It's absolutely got to happen.
So step three that you've touched on there sounds like compliance would be
Yes.
a big issue. So get back to the original plan,
Yes.
get a Royal Commission to see where things have gone wrong, which they obviously have,
Yes.
and then make sure we've got some compliance, that we're sticking to the original plan. That's a good starting point, and to me, it doesn't seem like they would be ridiculously long-winded or incredibly expensive things to do, and they kind of make a bit of sense. There might be an argument then after doing that to go back and revisit the plan, to modify the plan, but just to get it started, let's go back to those three basics, and you're a long way ahead of where we are now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We can't go any further backwards, and the water resource plans that have been presented to us by the New South Wales government have got a lot of little catches in there that would see the environment even further disadvantaged. Yeah, the adjustments to the plan, absolutely, they've got to happen, but the modelling that the Murray-Darling Basin Authority used to justify taking water off the environment, including the Gwydir and the Macquarie accounts, that modelling has to be publicly available, because you know, there's lots of clever scientists out there that can double check and peer review these decisions, which currently isn't the case.
And then maybe as a very last little component of that, maybe if we had a state government that actually acknowledged the science that shows that climate change is as real as gravity, maybe if they acknowledged that, maybe if they accepted that, that would come across a whole range of different plans that the government has got in place at the moment. And the funny part is, if I said to you, Mel, I don't believe in gravity, it doesn't mean that I suddenly start floating, because gravity's real.
That's
so I can
right.
believe in climate change or I can not believe in climate change, but it doesn't change the fact that it's scientifically proven that we humans are having an impact on this planet, and we need to do something about it.
We certainly do, and all the evidence coming in is that the impact that we are having is even more severe and is escalating more rapidly than anybody ever predicted, which is really terrifying, and you really see it in the kids who get it. They understand, they see the reality. It's not difficult to accept, and the future is we've got to take control of the future, and we can. It's within our power, but we do need the political will to do so.
Anyway, it's been great chatting you this morning.
Thanks, Matthew.
Thanks for your time, Mel. Appreciate it.
Thanks.